their own, yeah. But what we're talking about is men, like brothers, and work colleagues. Like in a taxi, all right, mate, I've got some little kid.
Listen, I completely understand it. The interpretation can be put on it. My issue is I just see that is this is a group of men who think they're living by the Prophet Muhammad's teaching. I don't know.
Maybe you need to tell them that, because in court they all shout Allah Akbar. One of them, and I'll quote him. One of them said, "I've been commanded by God to do this." These are the quotes by them. Okay, this is their mouths. I've gone through. I don't know if you have, but I've gone through all the transcripts of all their trials to see at which point they use their religion.
But just even with, Darren Osborne reads your stuff on the internet, you'll presumably don't.
He read your stuff actually. Actually, do you? Maybe you should sit here, so the camera's on you, because it was the BBC who done the Free Girls documentary, which we found out was actually the radicalising factor. So if I ask you, do you feel any responsibility for Darren Osborne driving that van into those innocent people?
Well, I don't think that we've at any point exaggerated or inflamed the situation.
Have I exaggerated? Please give me an example of what I've exaggerated.
Well, I'm here to ask you that.
No, give me an example. Because what I found out is that you're as responsible working for the BBC.
What I've noticed and what the court brought to attention is the parallels between what you were writing and tweeting about and what he then says his reasons why he's done.
Brilliant. So tell me what parallel there is with what he wrote in his note and what I've said. Just give me one parallel.
I don't believe he would have known about the Al-Quds Day March.
So because I let him know that things were happening.
I don't think he would have never gone on and on about Don't Look Back in Anger.
I didn't mention Don't Look Back in Anger. Don't Look Back in Anger was do you know what the Don't Look Back in Anger quote is about? Do you realise it?
I do. There's a Sun front page.
It's a girl singing Don't Look Back in Anger.
Yeah, but there's
a girl in Manchester at the Remembrance Service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sang Don't Look Back in Anger, an Oasis song.
Absolutely. And you then, when the Sun, on the day before his attack, he was reading you on Twitter, and you posted the Sun front page of the Grenfell Tower. Now comes the anger, and you said, you make some remark about
Don't Look Back in Anger.
When they killed our kids, we were told Don't Look Back in Anger or something like that. This stuff is inflaming,
What, saying Don't Look Back in Anger is inflaming?
Well, I think you get the point. Anyway, listen.
I do get the point. The point is after Grenfell, we had people inciting violence and smashing up council offices, and the media weren't calling them thugs or hooligans or anything like that. And after Manchester, we had thousands of people marching peacefully through a city centre, and we had the media calling them thugs and hooligans.
Well, were they?
No, they weren't. No.
Were they calling them thugs and hooligans?
Yes, calling them far right racists, all the usual media tribe.
Right. Okay. Well. Yeah. Okay. Well.
People were walking silently. We had a gay speaker, a Pakistani speaker, a black church leader, and you wouldn't know that by the media. By the media's response to it at all. You'd never know that. And this is the point. It's like I have a frustration. You're probably bearing the brunt of it sitting here as a journalist.
Listen, listen. I completely understand it. I do. I completely understand where you are. I actually think that you ought to be more. Personally, I do actually think you ought to be more thoughtful, because you stuff that seems like a great idea to say can make some nutter do stuff.
Do you think that preachers across our country should be more thoughtful when they're preaching in mosques?
I do. Yeah. Obviously, I've just been reporting on that for 20 years, and for the first time in all of that time, I'm thinking, shit, some people are starting to do the same thing as a result of stuff that's been said by people on the right.
So you really think that he's done this? You really don't think it's because of your BBC documentary of three girls and highlighting?
Listen, his wife his partner was quite clear about that, which was that he seemed to become politically angry by the three girls.
So let's not say people are doing things because of people saying things on the right. Let's say people start doing things because of your journalism and showing people what's happening. Well, that's more the reality. That's what the story you should be telling is.
That is absolutely for you to say.
But no. His wife said it. Not for me to say. His wife's told you that. No one has said. No one in all of this, or no evidence has said that he's done it because of me. He said he's done it because of Mr. Hussein, because of the grooming gangs. He said this. What we should look at is what he said.
I am positing. I'm suggesting that exactly that stuff that you've said has influenced him, and you can see it reflected in the language and the topics that he chooses. That's exactly what I am suggesting to you.
What I'm suggesting to you is the Labour Party not sacking Mr Hussein, the British police not closing down Didsbury Mosque, the government not taking these terrorists off of our streets is what's resulted in it.
Fine, well that's a perfectly decent answer.
Yeah,
you say, listen, it's a perfectly decent answer.
And do you know what? For years I've said, I remember giving a speech probably 5 years ago, saying that in 5 years' time you'll have English men blowing themselves up. Yeah? Because in our communities, we're watching as our communities are pretty much being raped and pillaged from one end of the country to the other. We're now watching children be blown up in concerts. And I don't want this. I have 3 young children, and all I want to hand down to them the same safe, prosperous country that our forefathers handed down to us. And I think we have a moral responsibility to try and do that. And by pretending, if I don't talk about these things, by pretending these things are not happening, I'm not doing that. By ignoring the fact that these things are happening, by not highlighting the fact of just how bad the situation we find them in, because it seems to be that everyone would just like to brush a coat over it and pretend that everything's hunky-dory, multiculturalism works, and we're all getting on great. It's a multicultural love nest that we live in. No, it's not. And I'm going to give people the evidence.
There are plenty of people around who, obviously not particularly in the Labour Party, but there's plenty of people around who aren't pretending that multiculturalism is a love nest, but it is a question about how it's put, isn't it?
No, see, this is the problem. Because it's been a problem about how it's put, because it's been a problem about how it's said, is the whole reason why tens of thousands of young girls in this country were allowed to be raped and continue to be raped. Because everyone was scared about how we say it. Oh, you can't say that, you can't say this. Which is why, if you
certainly there's a good argument about the investigation of those.
Well, there was no investigation because the police didn't want to be deemed racist. They didn't want to be deemed racist because journalists like yourself are saying, oh, you shouldn't say it like that. Oh, I remember watching Jack Straw sitting on Question Time after he said that white girls were treated as easy meat, and the whole argument, the whole worry of everyone on there was about how he said it. Yeah. No one was worried about the fact that these girls, which are our daughters, our sisters, they're our children. I've met families from one end of this country to the other whose daughters have been taken away from them and taken as sexual slaves. No one was even thinking about that. The biggest worry was, well, the Muslims might get upset because of how you've worded that. Well, the Muslims should be upset. If the Muslim community want to be upset, they should be upset because their fellow brothers are walking around our country after fighting for ISIS. Why are they not out on the streets demanding? We see them on the streets over everything else. Why are they not on the streets demanding action for that? Why are they not on the streets over all the grooming gangs? As he said, right? He's gave you justification. There was one protest by the Muslim community. He's told you this. Yeah? He's angry because the only time the Muslims decided to protest was over CCTV in their taxis. He's told you that.
But again, who told him?
That was actually reported by the BBC, so you told him that as well.
Well, okay, fine. Listen, let's get this done. I think you completely understand the arguments now, the discussions. I don't think you and I are going to end up agreeing on it, but I think this is the